Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to another great episode of the Van Buren Variety Show. I am Bob Van Buren, your host. And in case it's your first time to catch the show, Van Buren Variety broadcasts live every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Central and 8 p.m. Eastern. What's the show about? For the you newcomers, you may be asking, well, hence the word variety. Every week I have an individual guest on to talk about an interesting topic. Could be the person's profession. Maybe they're showing a how-to segment, interesting hobby. Maybe they've written a book. Even have some musicians coming on board. So you never know what you're going to get, hence the word variety. So if you haven't already, subscribe right now, and that way you'll get alerts on future topics. And also, I would welcome anybody, if you have a person that is interesting and has an interesting story, would love to have them come on, and you included. Just send me an email at vbvarieties@gmail.com. The email will be displayed at the end of the show. So glad you're here. If you like tonight's topic, I would just ask that if you really like tonight's topic and tonight's guest, don't just watch it and go away. Make sure you hit that like button. There's a like button there. I would appreciate that. And more importantly, the guest that I'm going to have tonight will definitely appreciate that as well. So glad you're here. As I said, this is the Van Buren Variety Show. And tonight we have a very, very serious topic. In fact, I'll have my own story about this. As we have Halloween coming up, a lot of people are excited about Halloween, taking the kids trick-or-treating, getting their little costumes like that, or maybe they're going to a Halloween costume party. Maybe they've already got their scary masks lined up, or maybe they're already dressed up for, the costume party, like this guy dressed up as Zorro. Or, as you know, with around Halloween, they have all these haunted houses that you can all go through and scare the daylights out of you. So there's all kinds of things to do on Halloween around this time around Halloween. And those are fun. But we're going to kind of delve into something a little more serious, folks, tonight. The paranormal, those stories. I, for one, am a firm believer in the paranormal. I have had a couple of experiences. One was over a few decades ago, which was the worst one that I experienced, which I will share with you and welcome your thoughts on that. And so we have an expert tonight that's going to tell us more about her paranormal experiences and the research that she's done. Couldn't be pleased more to have her on the show tonight to talk about that. So let me bring my guest on tonight.
Hi.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to introduce you to Sandra Pink, the Sandra Pink Paranormal channel on YouTube. Yes, so you can subscribe to her channel. And so, Sandra, well, welcome to the Van Buren Variety Show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's just kind of delve right into it. When we talk about paranormal, there are people that are new and maybe not that experienced or, not sure. How would you describe like the paranormal overall? Is it ghosts? Could it demons? Could it be anything? Or what? How would you describe it?
Uh, it's an unknown because you never know what you're gonna encounter. Like, is it gonna be a spirit, a mean one? Is it a demon? It could be. You never know. Like, even though there's a reputation of having like a demon at this place, you go and you don't have demons. You have spirits. It depends. It's a really unknown adventure when you you hit the paranormal side. There's so many questions. Sometimes we go in with questions but come out with even more questions.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
How long have you been into like the paranormal?
Well, I've been showing it on YouTube for like a year now.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really young because I have a gift that I've been trying to work with, trying to get rid of it because I didn't like this gift, and trying to get rid of the gift, I developed other gifts.
I see.
Yeah. So,
Well, I'll kind of delve into my story first, and then
okay.
I'm sure the stuff you have probably mine will be like a little firecracker compared to to what you've done. But this Might take a little bit, but I'd like to get your comments and as far as we have a live audience watching this tonight. I would love to hear your comments on that. Even those that are watching this days, weeks, months from now, after this has already been recorded. This scared me as you know end. So bear with me. It's kind of a long story, but it's what happened. Um, decades ago, when I moved into my first apartment. I'd already been living there about a year and a half. At the time, I was 22 years old. Well, one evening, I was standing on the front porch. There's a little porch outside my front door of this apartment. It's a one-bedroom apartment. I lived there alone. The landlord's daughter, who was about my age at the time, 21, 22, she came around the corner and was picking up trash, just kind of making the apartment complex look good. And I struck up a conversation with her because they had owned that apartment complex for quite a long time. So I said, y'all have owned this apartment complex for 10 years or so. I bet you have seen all kinds of interesting characters come and go, especially the ones they had to evict, people that didn't pay rent, or just people in general. And she agreed. She goes, oh yeah, we've seen, single people, couples, couples with children come and go. It happens all the time in apartments. But then she kind of stood back and looked at my apartment because I'm standing on the outside of it. She pointed at it and she goes, well, Bob, you do know that there was someone murdered in your apartment years ago. Like, no, maybe you might have told me that before I moved in. She goes, oh yeah. She told me the story, and that's a long story itself. But Reader's Digest version, his stepmother, this guy's own stepmother, killed him. They got into a physical scuffle. It was found out later she poisoned him. Very disgusting death. He landed on his back when he fell, and he choked on his own vomit. And the stepmother just stood back and watched him die, did not call for help at all. So he died a very, very horrible, tragic death by the hands of his stepmother. So, disgusting story, but, at the time I was like, okay, it happened, but it was years before. So me, in my infinite wisdom, and I use that very, very sarcastically, I wasn't satisfied with that. I wanted to delve into that. So I had a cousin that I knew that had one of these things. And I asked her if I could borrow that. And she said, yes, I could have it. I mean, not have it, but, borrow it. So I take this thing one night in my apartment alone. I turn out all the lights in the apartment. It's right around midnight. And I'm sitting in front of the refrigerator where they found the body, or where he died. I had a candle that I lit on the kitchen floor near me. So I'm sitting by the refrigerator with the Ouija board. Yes, alone. Mistake, I know.
Yeah.
So I'm calling out to this guy. I got the guy's name. I'll say John, but it was not John. I was saying, I had my finger on the planchette. John, can you hear me? John, hi, this is Bob. Can you hear me? 5 minutes went by, nothing. The candle didn't flicker. There were no shadows, no change in temperature. Kept doing it. 10 minutes went by. John, are you here? John, this is Bob. Can you contact me? Nothing. It didn't move. The candle didn't flicker. No temperature, no room temperature change, nothing. After about 15 minutes of doing this, I started feeling stupid. I'm like, you know what? This is a complete ripoff. There's nothing to these Ouija boards. I mean, so I feel stupid. I'm wasting my time. I could be in bed asleep right now. So I get up, flick on the kitchen light, blow the candle out. But right in front of me, a few feet from the refrigerator, there's a cabinet with doors that open like this. And this cabinet I use as the proverbial junk drawer. I mean, it was a catch-all. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to put this board back in here, and then I'm going to give it back to my cousin tomorrow. So I put the board and the planchette in this cabinet on top of all this junk, Close the door. I had my slippers on, so I go back to the bedroom, and the bedroom has carpet in it, by the way. And so I kicked my slippers underneath the bed, and before I go to bed, there's a little bitty, what I call a desk fan. There's a dresser nearby the bed. And I use it not just because I'm cold, but, it kind of keeps the breeze going, and, it's just kind of a noise, kind of helps me go to sleep. So I'm laying on top of the covers, and I'm just, I'm relaxed. I'm not scared. I'm not thinking nothing. But I started getting chills all up and down my arm. And I keep getting more chills. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why am I feeling cold? I'm not cold. There's nothing, the room's not cold. Well, so why am I getting chill bumps? Sandra, it took me a bit. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not chill bumps from being cold. I'm actually afraid. I'm feeling fear. And I'm like, why am I feeling fear? And y'all, I can't explain the noise. I mean, I can't even begin to imitate it, but it was a loud screeching noise. I mean, in the room with me. It was, and it kept going. It just wouldn't stop. So now I'm freaking out, and the room's dark. So the room light is right above the bed. So I flick on the light. The fan that's on that dresser over there, the blades are doing this. They're turning and they're squealing. And so I'm like, you know what? That board is leaving this house tonight. So I get up out of bed, put my slippers on, jerk the fan out of the wall. I go in the kitchen. I open the cabinet up.
It's not there.
No board, no planchette. It's not there. I had later. Now things in that cabinet are coming out. I'm throwing games out, pots and pans, letters, whatever. Now the whole kitchen floor is littered of stuff. It's not in there, and I'm tracing my steps, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, I laid it in this cabinet. I did not carry it anywhere. I'm even going in the living room, even though I didn't go in the living room when this happened. I'm like, it's not there. I put it in the cabinet. I go through all the junk again. I can't find it. It's not in there. So I'm like, you know what? I just kind of 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, kind of calmed down. I just said, okay, it's in the apartment somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I'll find it. Just kind of calm down. So I'll leave the mess on the kitchen floor, flick off the light, go back in the bedroom, had the room light was still on. So I had my slippers. Like I said, I just kick them under the bed when when I'm going to bed. And there's carpet there. So I kicked off the first house shoe like this, but when I kicked it off under the bed, I hear, like, now wait a minute. House shoes on carpet don't make a sound like that. So I get on my hands and knees and I raise up the sheet and the quilt, look under the bed. The Ouija board and the planchette are on the floor under the bed, right underneath where I had been sleeping.
You know, it's because you never said goodbye to it.
And that board left that house at night, that night. I mean, that was the freakiest thing that I ever happened. And I brought a psychic in the next day, or actually a few days later. And again, there was a lot of things going on, but this is when it gets really freaky. And he's like, well, I was still upset. I was like, I was just trying to contact the guy that passed away here. Why did he get so mad at me? I don't understand why he did what he did. And the psychic just told me very plainly, Bob, you didn't contact that guy that passed away here, that murdered. You contacted a demon. You got a demon that came through that board. And then he was confused about something. He said, the psychic said, and he's in my living room and we're talking about this. And he goes, Bob, did you have somebody, like an elderly person, that really cared about you, that really loved you, that wanted the best for you? Well, less than 2 years earlier than that, there was a woman that introduced me to the church. Very Christian-like woman. And she did her best to get me, turn my life over. And she did. She was not related to me, but she really looked out for me. But unfortunately, she passed away before I turned my life over. And he said, and I said, but she's passed away. He goes, that's it. I said, what do you mean that's it? He goes, remember how you told me that fan was making that really hard screeching noise? I'm like, yeah. He goes, that was her. That's that woman. Her name was Margaret. I said, why? He goes, because she saw that board and that planchette under your bed. And if that board had proverbially, spiritually cracked, it would have went through you, either A, killed you or possessed you. Her doing that fan was her way of getting you out of bed and out of danger. And I thought, oh man. So there is my paranormal story. Believe it or not, I mean, I will attest and say that is, I haven't dramatized one thing. I haven't took one thing out of context. That scared me to no end. Well, like I said, I moved shortly after that. So you're now, yeah, I welcome your comments on that. Any,
Well, yeah, the psychic person there, like, was there, so felt the leftover energy of that lady, so that's why he could have told you that it was her doing that, and she knew it was under the bed. So what could have happened maybe 5 minutes later?
it's scary.
Yeah, very scary. When you don't know what you're going into, especially Ouija boards. Like, I'm not a professional here. I'm not declaring myself a professional,
Hmm.
but one that has played around enough with it. And if you don't know what you're doing, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Even, oh well, I'll try and see if something bad happens to me. Are you willing? Because bad, there's everybody has their own story. So
Well, I've heard now one thing because I've heard novices. I was a novice, shouldn't use Ouija boards, but I've heard absolutely you should never use a Ouija board alone. Is that true?
yes, there's three rules to the Ouija game that a lot of people are forgetting. Rule number one: never play alone. Rule number
Yeah.
two: always say goodbye. And rule number three is don't taunt the spirits that come in. So
And it is true that just because you try to contact, in this case, John Doe, it may not necessarily be John Doe that comes
no,
through.
it could be a jokester, what we call a jokester. It'll know everything on John Doe, but it's just another spirit, or it could be a demon. So, and what I say, like for spirit, let's say you get a mean spirit, it's probably that person when it was living was a mean person. Well, for sure, in the afterlife, that person's going to be mean. It's going
Sure.
to be the same character, you know. So
Well, I
always
told you.
remember that a spirit was living at one point and
Sure.
was a human.
Well, I told you my paranormal story, Sandra. Do you have something like a story like that? You don't have to be that
Where
intense.
to
It can be
begin?
if you wanted that you can share it with us. I'd love to hear your story too.
Where to begin? Um, I've been touched. I've been
Oh,
spooked out of
wow.
my mind.
Wow.
What am I doing here? I don't. There's so many things that happen. There's one year the family and I. Oh, by the way, my daughter and my son-in-law are here in the chat.
Oh,
Hi,
that's great.
Bianca. Hi, Matthew. Okay. And I got a lot of friends too. Hi.
I'm glad. Hey, welcome y'all. I'm glad y'all are here. I got a great guest tonight, as you can see.
Okay. One summer we decided to go to the Real Screaming Tunnel. It's in Ontario. This
Hmm.
tunnel was used for the movie Dead Zone from
Yeah.
Stephen King. And the rumor is that if you go in the tunnel, in the middle of the tunnel, and you light up a match, a wooden match, when it blows out, you'll hear a lady screaming. So we go there and we start our little daytime investigation. Ah, no problem. There's nothing here. We got internet connection. Good. We'll do a live tonight and this and that.
Hmm.
Everything was perfect. But that night, it was another ball game. It was
Oh, wow.
not the same environment. It was a very chilly environment. It was really cold in that tunnel, but
Hmm.
outside it was hot. It was in the summertime. No internet connection. We had some like just at the beginning of the tunnel, not in the middle like I had during the day. And we were trying to do that thing with the match. I went in twice. The second time I heard like someone throwing rocks on the side of the wall of the tunnel.
Oh, wow.
And there's nobody. I'm alone
Hmm.
in the tunnel. So I ran out of there.
Yeah, I definitely, yeah, I would have.
So then my
Wow.
my husband Eric, he says, "Give me those matches. I'm going to go and watch this and you'll see." So he goes to the middle of the tunnel, lights up a match, nothing really happens. So he says, "Okay, I'm going to go right at the end, like cross the tunnel." So he goes to the end of the tunnel, lights up a match again, hears something jumping from the top part of the
Ooh.
jumping down. I heard it, and he's at the end of the tunnel, and I'm at the other end. I heard something jump off. I couldn't see it, but I heard it. And he started feeling something on his back, like pushing him. So he ran out of there, and that
Oh,
was
I
the
can
first.
imagine. Yeah.
That was the first time he really like had a paranormal experience. He was about to be get attached or something by feeling that on his back, like starting to come in. He came running out of the tunnel. He just wanted to vomit. He felt sick. He was green. He really,
Oh,
and
I'm
he's
sure.
never sick. This guy's never sick, and he can eat whatever he wants. He'll digest it, no problem. But that time he said, "I'm sick. I'm sick." So what the problem was that I brought some protection in my little banana sack in front of me,
Hmm.
but I never gave him the protections when he went in. He had no protection at all. He had no crystals, no holy water, or whatever you want. He didn't have none of that when he went there. I had it all on me. So,
Oh, I was going to ask you, what are the protections? What kind of protections do you use?
well, I can use like I make my own mixes due to
Hmm.
my Wicca practices. I have um I have a mixture that I make. It's for spirits won't follow you home. It's mixed with sugar and cinnamon. You rub your hands, your feet with that, and the spirit will lose your scent,
I see.
because that's how a spirit can follow you home and stuff, is by your scent. Each person has its own odor. So I have that. I have some black salt, and I have my crystals, and I have some holy water too, and some sage.
I was going to ask you about sage. I've heard people say sage work. How does sage work? For kind of what
Okay.
is it for
You
those of
have
us who don't know?
you have to have white sage first of
White
all.
sage. Okay.
Yeah, and when you're burning it, you have to say a prayer, not just like put it all over you or walk around the house.
Hmm.
You have some prayers you have to say from your beliefs, like whatever religion you believe in. You
Hmm.
say your strongest prayer, and you walk around the house and you burn your sage everywhere and stuff. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, Sandra, you have provided me some photos. I'm going to share those now. You can tell the story. Ladies and gentlemen, Sandra has got some photos and even some videos that I'm going to share with you. Some things that she has seen. And I'll just put them up there, Sandra. You can kind of tell my audience kind of where this was, when this was, and kind of what all happened here. So we'll take this picture first. I'll let our audience look at it first. Okay, audience, you see that? Okay, Sandra, tell us about this photo here.
Okay, this was about 2 years ago. It's an abandoned school that they were demolishing. And me and my family, because I do all my videos with my family, they're my exploring crew and stuff. So we were doing this abandoned school, and I caught that while filming, and it's no one that was with me. It was there, and one of my friends pointed it out. So I stopped the video at that point. So this is a screenshot of the video playing, and that's what you catch. And by the time I got there in the video, at that door was closed.
It's closed. Oh,
Yep.
wow.
And I never saw that black thing there, that black person shadow.
Now you have a close-up of that. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
I'm going to take a look at this picture now. Sandra's given us a close-up of this image. So here it is. Here's the close-up, folks. Wow. And so you can actually tell. Let me zoom out again. There's no way that could be a reflection of something because you can clearly see the glass, and there's
Yeah,
a stairway right behind it. So how could that be a reflection? And this is the close-up version, right, Sandra?
yeah, yeah. That's close as zoomed in,
Hmm.
and yeah.
Wow. So did you sense anything like not
Well,
necessarily that,
at
but
that
any kind of
point,
senses?
that was like when I first started my channel, when it
Oh,
was
okay.
just abandoned stuff. I felt there was something there, but it was such an old school that I was telling to myself, well, it's all the history, all the, everybody has their own story of this place. And, it was really popular here in town, this school. So I was like pushing it aside and saying, there's probably nothing here.
Right.
Like I didn't stop at that point for that. So really, but I knew there was something, but what was it? The
Mm,
fright of getting caught, getting the kids in trouble,
sure.
you know. So I didn't feel it at that point because I didn't stop for that.
We have some
Yeah.
questions from the audience. Let me bring that picture back up, Sandra, and then I'll bring the question that somebody's got. Here's the close-up picture of that. And I don't see it, but maybe you can answer this. Val's asking, is there horns? Did you see any horns there, or do you
It,
see horns?
there's one part, if you look like closer, like you see the window, like there's
Mm-hmm.
a door, you see one horn there, and the other one's sort of like filling up the window corner. It could have had horns. I don't know.
Okay. And then we have another question for you. Let's see. We've got some lots of good comments, lots of good questions. Uh, Black Dragon says, Sandra, was it you that had the child spirit? I'm not sure about this story. Is this
Yes.
what was the story on that?
Well, she's still here. She's one of the spirits I was telling you about that
Oh,
might appear
oh,
anytime in
there.
back of me. She's about I'd say 8 years old or something.
Oh,
She
wow.
followed me from that video clip there.
Yeah,
the
we have a video we're going to show
yeah,
later, folks.
yeah, yeah. So she followed me home because I took something that belonged to her. So when you go investigate or go explore, you never bring nothing home with you. You don't take anything. I took a pile of rocks and paid for it for a year, but now they know how to get here. They come on their own.
Hmm. And
So,
there's another comment. I think this is more aimed at me, and I can't. I have to say I completely agree because when I use that board by myself, I mean, I'm hated that I went through that, but I did open the door. That because I was a novice and I was alone, and I thought it was a game, and it's not a game. You have to be real serious. So, user Castor Pollux 15 said these boards are an open door to evil. You wouldn't leave your front door wide open when you go to bed, would you? Absolutely not. So that was enough to teach me a lesson.
right.
So let's go to. You have some other pictures here too. Very interesting pictures. I'll show the picture, Sandra, and then you can kind of tell us all about it. What's
Okay.
this? What's this here that you showed me?
Okay. This is an abandoned asylum. Uh, there were lots of people, like kids, getting treated bad, and there was 3 fires, 11 deaths. This is dark history of this place.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look in the window, you see like a black figure. That is,
Yes.
the people know this figure. His name is James. He committed suicide in the
Oh my
bathrooms
gosh.
there. He hung himself. So you see in the video at some point there's nothing there, and then at one point he's there. He's not there. It comes and goes. Yeah, so that's, and this place is rated top, number one, top in the top tens of haunted in Quebec.
Now you've got a picture of it from the outside here, but were you able to go
No,
inside as well?
no, you're not allowed to go
You're
into
not
this
allowed
building.
to. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
before, yes, we were allowed, but due to so many accidents and
Sure.
so many things, there's a girl that went inside there. She had some newspaper clippings and stuff. She disappeared. They never saw her again. They just saw her walk in. They never saw her walk out. Um, I don't
Spooky.
know if you guys know Mo Sargi and Angelo. They went there too,
Hmm.
and they got their frights
I'm
also.
sure.
And now, well, you like the government took over, told the owner to seal that place up, and we're not even allowed to park in front of that building.
Wow.
Like stop on the side of the road, take a picture. You're not even allowed anymore.
Not even a picture on the side of the road.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, no, you'll get a fine and everything. No, the government went into that and put his hand on that, and
You know,
yeah,
I'm just kind of guessing. Again, you're more the expert than I am, obviously, but I would think that all these old places, especially ones that really have tragic things happen, like it could be an old prison or
yeah,
an old insane asylum
yeah.
or an old hospital or just, an old battlefield, where a lot of people die. I can imagine that would be full of paranormal activity. Is that what you've encountered or what you've heard?
Yes, I've been to a battlefield here, and I heard with my ears, no gadgets or anything there. I heard a woman singing an old chant, a
Oh, wow.
folklore chant from Quebec there. She was in the woods singing. I heard that like as clear as day. And yeah, if a building is old with stories and all that, for sure there's some leftover energy from the story and stuff. And even a hospital today, it's not
Sure.
abandoned or anything. I had to go to the emergency about 2 3 months ago, and I'm waiting for my turn. So I decided to open the necrophonics
Hmm.
and try and see if I can, maybe hear something. And yeah, what I heard, there was a lot to say. And it's a running hospital, it's working, and
But people die there. There's been sickness there, and
yeah, yeah. So
it's
wherever there's
yeah.
like a story to be tell, there's still energy left.
Sure. You have another picture too that I want to share. And ladies and gentlemen, we do have video coming up, short video clips, but stuff that you'll be interested in. But I'd like to get this picture done, Sandra, and kind of tell us kind of where, why, how, and of course the experience you had here.
That's at the same place where I took a photo of James in the window. That's the same place. That is two boys with their arms reaching out, trying to, I don't know, say hi or grab something, grabbing each other. That's two little boys. They're about maybe 12 and 8 years old.
But it's the same place. It's where you were
Yeah,
before.
it's the same place as the other photo of before.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow. Pretty, very, very spooky. What is your comment now? I've seen other people on YouTube and on TV specials about the paranormal. They talk about orbs. Now, is an orb a spirit? Is it energy? Can you describe what is an orb for our audience?
Well, if I see an orb, it's for me, it's a spirit. It's the sign
Hmm.
that that's how it moves. It shows itself most of the time, an easy way to show themselves. Orbs are spirits, or past loved ones, and yeah, that's what I believe. And there's different colors, and different colors mean different meanings. Like whatever color could mean like a spirit guide, it
Hmm.
could mean an angel. It all depending on the forms they take, also. So
What about some of these places that we've heard on the news? For example, you've seen this film and heard the story, A Haunting in Georgia. where a little girl was visited by obviously friendly spirits. I highly recommend you watch the movie A Haunting in Georgia. And
Okay.
long story short, she was seeing a man that had once been associated with the property, but he died like 20 years before this little girl was born.
Yeah.
Now, he was helpful. He played with her, he talked to her. Now, the parents could not see this individual, but later on, an evil spirit, I guess, found her and haunted her and even scratched her one time.
Okay.
So, just in your estimation, your own theory, good spirits, are they hanging around just like for our protection, or is there maybe some work that they didn't get to complete while they were alive, or
It it
what's your opinion?
depends. Like some just don't want to go. Some don't even know they passed,
They don't know
and
they passed. Oh
they
wow,
don't even know they passed. And some don't want to go where they have to go. They feel they're not finished. Their business not finished here. There's that. I've encountered a spirit that didn't know it passed,
oh you have.
and
Oh wow.
yeah,
Oh,
and now he knows, but he still doesn't want to pass over, and he's still here.
I'm still here.
So
Unfinished business, I guess.
yeah, he has a lot of unfinished business with his brother.
Sure.
So
Very interesting. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do now, I have one video clip that Sandra sent me. It's only 5 seconds long. And another one that she sent me is 11 seconds long. But before we talk about what it is, I'm going to show the video first, okay? And then I'll have Sandra explain it, and then I'll show it again so you can see and importantly hear for yourself on one particular one. So this one takes 5 seconds long, and I'm going to play it without any explanation, and then we'll come back and have Sandra explain it where and what she caught here. Here we go.
in this graveyard.
Okay, it was really quick, but kind of tell us again where you were and what we heard in that clip.
Okay, this is an abandoned graveyard with a church. The church has no more roof, no more windows, no more doors, no more floors, walls. It's just like rocks. And I went there this was in June, this video, but I went last year and I wanted a souvenir of the place. I found it so beautiful. And so I took myself a pile of rocks and put in my pocket, and I'll say, that'll be my souvenir of the place, without thinking it's so, innocent. It's only rocks. It's not going to hurt nobody.
Right.
But when I left the filming that day, I came to get into a car, and I did all my filming on the cell phone, and the cell phone fell right in the sewer.
Oh, ouch.
So I lost all footage. I had bad luck all the way until I got home. I took out the rocks and started thinking and talking with my paranormal family that I have here on YouTube and stuff. And it was because I brought the rocks home. And all last winter, I had a lady spirit and a little girl spirit. And they came from that cemetery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this year, I said I'll make peace because I had a terrible winter with.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, "Oh, my place at my house is haunted," and they're still living there. I don't know how they do it. I have three spirits here in the room, and sometimes they can get at me. It's like I want to get rid of them, and I try to get rid of them, and it doesn't work. So these two ladies in particular, because they're completely strangers for me, they're from the 18th century. So
Wow.
so I brought back the rocks this year, saying like, "Here, sorry, please forgive me." I was really polite about it. I gave them back everything I took, you know, and saying that I took it here, and I'm sorry, and thinking that they will say, "Oh, okay, we're home now. We're back home. We'll stay home." No, I showed them the way home. and show them the way back home.
I see what you're
So
saying. Hmm.
okay, so now it's starting to get cold outside, and they don't want to spend, I guess, the winter outside like the other winters they had. They had a wonderful winter last winter, so I'm expecting them to come back. Yeah.
So that video we just saw, what are
Yeah.
we? I'm gonna play it again. So what did we? What did you catch there in that clip?
Okay. When I finish saying graveyard, you hear yeah.
Yeah, and I heard it earlier before we went on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I would highly recommend if you're watching this live or if you're watching this later, I'm going to show the clip in a minute. But right when Sandra says graveyard, the word graveyard on the clip, if you listen carefully, you can hear like a little girl, I guess you could say, or somebody saying, yeah. It's
Mm.
very faint. So I'll play it, but now I'll play it, and that way you'll know when it's coming. But listen for her to say the word graveyard, and then you hear this, yeah. So I'll play it again. Here we go. In five, four, three, two, one.
In this graveyard.
It's very, very faint. So you really probably have to turn your volume up. And I heard it through my earbuds.
And
So
it was raining cats and dogs, and I
uh
wanted to
huh.
return the rocks to get rid of them, and it doesn't work like that. There must be something else I have to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got another video here. And again, I'm going to play it again. Oh, well, not that video. I'll play another video with no explanation. I'll just let you, we'll watch it first and you can kind of explain what we saw here. Okay, here it goes,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen. This one's about an 11-second clip here. Here we go. Okay, the first time you showed this to me, I saw, but I had to ask you if I saw what I thought I saw. So before I play it again, where are we looking here? I saw an arrow in there.
Yeah, there's like an arrow, and you'll see there's like something white floating going into the headstone. And I've tried to debunk it. Some people were saying it was snow falling from the tree. The tree was too far, and snow doesn't fall like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
So
kind of see it floating from down between the tombstone. A very, very thin, like I almost say a mist, but it's something there.
something white or
Yeah. So I'm gonna play it again, ladies and gentlemen. Watch the arrow go down a little bit down from the arrow. So I'm gonna play it again in five, four, three, two, one. Yeah. I can't explain that one. Did you sense other than that? Did you also sense anything while you were there, Sandra?
no, not even. I was just concentrating on getting a video out for that week, and because it's in the winter time, I'm blocked for the cemeteries because it's full of snow.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like wanted to do like a necrophonic and film the snow.
I see.
And I got home. This is about 10 minutes away from my house. So I started building the video, and that's when I saw it.
Sure. What would be your advice? We've heard stories. I mean, even personal story. Maybe someone's watching this right now uh, that say that either their house is haunted, or they themselves is haunted. In other words, no matter where they go, they're followed. You know, they're haunted. There's things that happen. Maybe books fall off the shelves, or there's screaming noises at night, or just you could tell there's something not right with the house or with the person. So what would be your advice, Sandra, if someone's watching this and either their house is haunted and they want to get rid of it, or maybe if they themselves or something has attached themselves to this person and they want to
Mhm.
get rid of it, what would be your suggestion? How can they make it stop if they can? If they can.
I would tell them to call their priest, their minister, whatever they believe in, for help first of all, to see like if that person can help in your beliefs. And sage, you can sage your own self, uh
Oh, you
and
can.
the
Okay.
house also by saying the prayers like I was saying that you believe in. And I've also had to do at one point, I had to do a big more purifying of the area. I
Mm-hmm.
had to take some pink Himalayan salt with some alcohol and set that on fire and say a prayer and throw that smoke around. And every time there was like an attachment or something, a spirit, it would hit the fire, it would flame up more. I did that in my mother's store, and it drained all the energy out of me. It was unbelievable. I was almost in bed for 2 days after
Oh,
because of all
wow.
the energy and either negative or positive. Every energy that hit that bowl of salt that's on fire with alcohol would blow up. And I said, that's the only thing left to do. And this was a shaman that showed me this. And it quieted down the situation, but I'm not in the religious power. I'm not a
Sure.
priest. I'm not a, you
Sure.
know.
We got some
So
comments.
it
Oh,
just
wait.
relaxed the situation.
In fact, there's some other comments that is kind of went along the lines of what you just said. I'll share some of these comments now. Gene Hudson says, well, they best get cleansed. Oh, yeah, obviously, for
Yeah, well,
sure.
this is the major cleanse that the shaman suggested to me to do for
Okay.
in my mother's case.
And then Overbuilt Automotive says Bill Bean, spiritual warrior, has prayer on his website, folks. They are powerful words. So yes,
Yeah.
obviously, very good advice on Overbuilt. Thank you. And then this Sandra, we got another Sandra here,
Oh,
says smudge bath yourself and your home. Salt all the corners of your house and command the spirit to go. Have you heard that
yep,
too, Sandra
yep,
Pink?
and yes, I have, and I've done. That's one of the first things I've done for this room here. It's one of the first things I've done,
Hmm.
and they go, but they come back. So the only way I've managed to quiet them down a bit, if you want, is by feeding them with a sliced up apple and tobacco. That's another suggestion that the shaman I talked to, and I asked lots of questions to him, poor guy.
Hmm.
But that's the only thing that kept the situation quiet here for now.
I see.
Yeah.
Very,
So
very interesting. Kind of delve a little bit off the subject, but we're talking about the paranormal, which that covers so many things. Not we've talked mostly about hauntings, but paranormal can be anything, spiritual. So I'd like to kind of delve into. We've heard of tarot cards. Uh,
Mhm.
so tarot cards are those from maybe, and I'm asking a question I really don't know. Is this from a professional, psychic or spiritualist, or is it spirits telling this person kind of what the tarot cards are and putting them for the person who's going to be read to? What's your
Okay.
opinion?
I use tarot cards, but like for myself, I don't like. I'm trying to read other people, but I have like a blockage. I don't know why, but it's spirits that are. You can open something up with playing tarot as much as a Ouija board.
Oh, sure. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
See,
I have one of my friends when she does her investigations, she'll take her deck of cards and a card will come out and that card's about the situation.
can you
Yeah.
detect? Uh, and I'm sure you can. You've already kind of told me a few stories. Like, say that you go to maybe somebody's house, and maybe you've never been to this house before,
Hmm.
or it don't have to be a house; it could be a building. Are you able to sense? We've always heard that saying where you walk into a room and you don't feel like
Or
you're alone. There's somebody there. There's something there. Do you have that
yes,
that sense where
I
you can sense something is there?
yes, I recently figured out because I had like two things that would tell me the object is haunted, the place is haunted or whatever. It would be either I have stomach cramps or a
Oh
headache.
wow.
And I figured out that when I have stomach cramps, it's a male spirit. And when I have headaches just on one side, it's a female spirit. I come
Really?
to realize when I ask the questions and investigate, are you a male spirit or a female? Then when it says female, okay, that's my headache. That's
Oh
okay.
wow.
Yeah, because I never get headaches. I never get stomach aches on other occasions and stuff. And I've always felt it like in the stomach. So I said, okay, me, it's the stomach. I feel cramps. And it's because I always dealt with male spirits.
Oh wow. Have you encountered both, I guess you could say, friendly
Yeah.
spirits and hostile spirits, I guess I could say.
Uh, I- I've encountered, I call him a joker spirit.
Joker
Like,
spirits. Oh,
yeah, I've found one in the cemetery. I was with my rods. I used dowsing rods, and it was answering ridiculous questions, like answers to my
hmm.
questions I was asking.
Pulling your leg basically, right?
Yeah, it
Mm,
was. He says one thing, then it'll say another. You know, so that was like a trickster, but it wasn't a mean trickster because you have mean tricksters that'll trick you into whatever they want, and you know.
sure. Well, Sandra, you have now. I have my own YouTube channel here, Van Buren Variety, that I hope people that are watching that they haven't already subscribed to. Hint, 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 hint. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Like. Okay, there's my public service announcement. But let's shift to you now. You have your own YouTube channel, and it's
Yeah.
called Sandra Pink Paranormal.
Mm.
First of all, number one, do you do live shows, and kind of what content do you have on your show that people would be
Okay.
interested in?
Well, usually I drop a video every Monday night at 7 Eastern
Okay,
of whatever I'm into that week there, whatever it could be. And then on Friday mornings, I drop a scary story, like a creepy pasta or something of, a story. It could have happened, or a true story, just short story. And Friday nights, I do Para Squad, where we investigate and try and contact people that have passed away. I've started with missing people, trying to find missing people. We
oh
found a few
really?
clues.
Oh
We found
good,
a few clues. So we don't know what's going into that, but I got a good friend. His name is Steve Stockin, and he told me to like switch it around a bit and make sure the person is deceased, because if they find them, so that's why I switched it to people that are officially deceased, that went missing or they're famous.
I see.
Yeah, yeah. So I do that on Friday nights, and on Sundays, well, it's the show's called Let's Talk Paranormal,
Okay,
and this is where I have like mail call, and we look at paranormal photos. We try to analyze and understand this photo, what contents it
sure. What is it?
was.
What is it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then we watch an old video of mine. So this show's been going on for so long. Like we're finished. Like I go through my playlists. So we did all
Sure.
the abandoned playlists to begin with, and now we're in the investigation playlist. Like all the investigations I've done, and
That sounds
yeah,
great.
my subscribers and my members are really into that, and they enjoy
Great.
the shows. And like once a month, I'll do some readings for them. I have witch tiles here. It's like, I don't know, card reading.
Sure.
I have a crystal ball, some tea reading from Tea Leaf. So we do a private live stream, and I do some tea readings and whatever
Interesting.
which pack of tarot cards they want. And I also do pendulum readings also.
Oh wow, that's
And I
interesting.
also investigate with my pendulum. Yeah.
Hey, well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure if you're interested in the paranormal and maybe you've got a paranormal experience you would like to share, go to Sandra Pink Paranormal. That is Sandra Pink Paranormal on YouTube. Check her out. You can ask questions. Some of your questions that you've had, or you've got an experience you'd like to share. She'd be the one that you want to talk to for sure, like I just shared mine.
Yeah, and if I don't know the answer, my paranormal family, someone somewhere knows.
Sure. Well, Sandra, I am very pleased that you came on tonight. Thank you for letting me tell my story and your
Yes.
thoughts on that too. Like I said, that scared me to no end. I've got another one since then, not as bad as that one, but that one was a wake-up call. And I would tell people, Ouija boards are not toys. If you go in and you go in flippantly and making fun of it, and if you're alone, I mean,
Yeah.
it was after what happened to me. Yeah, no more. So yeah, so there's my public service announcement on that too. Well, Sandra, again, welcome. Best of luck to your YouTube channel. We're looking
Thank
for
you.
great things from you, and love to talk to you again soon.
Okay, thank you. Good night, everyone.
Have a good night. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for tonight's episode of the Van Buren Variety Show. I am Bob Van Buren. So glad you're here. And those of you that watched me on Van Buren Variety, the channel, I appreciate it. Your support means a lot. And I simulcasted tonight. Thank you very much to the group at Texas Front Porch for letting me simulcast and getting my advertisement to my show on their channel. We've had some interesting comments on both channels. So those of you that have tuned in, and if you haven't already, if you like the show, look for Van Buren Variety, all three words, Van Buren Variety. Look for me, subscribe. And again, if you've got an interesting topic you'd like to talk about, there'll be an email that'll flash at the end of the show. And if you subscribe, you'll be able to see upcoming episodes as well. As a reminder, I'm on the air live every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Central Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And next week, I'll have an interesting guest again with an equally interesting topic. So don't want to miss that. So again, everybody, thank you for tuning in. This is Bob Van Buren for the Van Buren Variety Show. I will see you all next week. Good night, everybody.